Good afternoon. It's great to be with you today. I'm Justin Hall, a partner in PwC's Workforce Solutions practice. We focus a lot on reshaping how work gets done with our clients, especially in this world of AI. And obviously, we're not feeling any pressure at all going after the inestimable Mr. Al Roker and his luminaries. So apologies for any nerves here. I'm proud to host this panel, though. We have three fabulous speakers whose organizations are each doing really innovative and important things in preparing the future of our workforce to be so valuable in showing what it means to be human and how that fits in with AI. Briefly, at PwC, this insight of the fact that we need human skills alongside technical to be thriving in this future world led us to ask some big questions. How do we build these differentiated skills, both within the firm of PwC, but equally importantly, out in our communities? And that led to the launch of PwC's Human Skills Project, which is our societal commitment to bring upskilling to over 250,000 learners over the next 3 years and contribute over 1 million service hours in our communities to building these skills. So today's conversation brings together three organizations that have different but deeply connected purposes and perspectives on the challenge and the opportunity of thinking about these skills in the worlds of AI. So I'm joined here by Diana Fischer, Senior Director of Workday's Foundation and lead for the Foundation's AI and workforce transformation efforts. Erika Smith, who leads data center partnerships as part of Microsoft Elevate. And Uthra Ramaswamy, the Senior Director of Training Solutions Strategy at Europe United, a really fantastic organization. So let's dig in with my wonderful panelists here. For a long time, we used to call these skills the soft skills. I've been doing this for about 2 decades, and I remember that. But pretty quickly, we started to realize the soft skills are actually the hard ones, and the harder than the hard skills, and they have become more critical than ever today. So let me ask each of our panelists from where they sit, what are 1 or 2 human skills that you view as most critical in this day and age, and what are the business and societal cases for developing those skills within the workforce?
I'm happy to jump in, and then we'll go down. So hi, everyone. Diana Fischer with Workday. Very proud to lead our efforts around workforce development. We've been investing in workforce development causes since 2013 when our foundation was created. And it is such an important time to be talking about this. Anyone who works in workforce development knows, of course, the question about what skills are important to the workforce of the future is critical to the decisions you make, the investments, the programs you build. We live in an age where knowledge is more accessible than ever through AI. It's really quite miraculous how quickly you can learn things and tap into expertise. And no matter where you are in your career journey, that's an incredible thing to have, right, as an asset to your growth. However, human skills are critically important to putting that knowledge to work. Without collaboration, without problem solving, without the power of innovation that happens when humans come together, that knowledge is not going to be the thing that solves our generation's hardest problems. And I think that's very true at kind of the micro level. So for an individual job seeker, it's of course critical to their development, their success and role. But also, as a society, if we start to lapse these skills, I think that it will be really hard to tackle on, the most pressing challenges we face.
Yeah, and to carry on that discussion, I just think about something unique that just happened to me. So 2 weeks ago, I was the U.S. AI skills lead. Now I lead data center partnerships across the U.S. So with AI, organizations are shifting how they're organizing. Their talent architecture is changing dramatically. And the shift is who has the capability and the skills to serve in this moment. When I asked my leadership about this shift, they said, you have the opportunity and a skill to building trust through relationship and communication, and you operate with the spirit of innovation. And so that problem solving and that ability to lead in the space of ambiguity. And so, when I talk to communities, so many people are afraid of, how do I assert my value in this moment? AI can create, AI can analyze, AI can develop a pitch, but how you present is based on your human skills. So thinking about what is it uniquely innate about who you are and how do you bring that into the conversation, into the situation. AI is transforming the way we work, it's transforming societies. The investments in AI infrastructure balance our GDP during the last year, but human capacity is the infrastructure of which AI truly runs on. So how many of people in the room are nervous about who they are and where they would stand in this AI moment? Am I the only person? How many people have navigated their home life, navigated their career? And if you did this with really personal human skills, such as communication, relationship building, decision making, and you led with confidence. And so this is the moment that we are in. Yes, the technology is here and it's continuing to advance, but the technology needs humans to operate. And the skills that we bring forward will continue to be more invaluable.
Awesome. I think both of the panelists, you guys have said a lot of important skills. A couple that come to mind for me is adaptability, because things are changing every day. What skills are relevant are constantly evolving, so I think that's a really important skill to have. And then self-directed continuous learning, because again, you have to pick up new skills in this AI-enabled world, and so you need to keep doing that. The need for AI skills has grown many-fold over the last several years, but I think companies are not really struggling to find people who can use AI well. Instead, as entry-level jobs are getting automated by AI, it's the human skills. And that's cognitive skills like critical thinking, problem solving, adaptability, judgment, all of those, as well as the people skills, which are the relationship building, communication, that becomes really important. And at Europe United, we have really specialized in human skills since the year of 2000. This is what we do well. We call them durable skills because these skills don't change very much across industries or roles or even career stages. And then you asked about the societal impact as well. And when I think about the societal impact, who is getting left behind as AI automates jobs is the people that typically don't have a lot of options to begin with. So I think what could really set them apart in this day and age is focusing on the human skills, because those are going to really set them up for success and continued economic mobility.
Thank you. And I know Europe, one of the things I love about your organization is you track the data on a lot of this and what has made the candidates who you place successful in their roles. I wonder if you could share some of those insights of what are some of those most critical skills that the employers are seeing that really do benefit them.
So I think one of the things that comes up all the time is communication skills. And the communication skills, not just in like having a conversation, but also, here's an example. You can't prompt your way out of an interaction with a difficult customer.
Wish you could.
Yeah. So in the moment, how do you make sure that you are able to handle that situation? That's something that our employers really value. And then our employers value decision making. Because I think that's the one thing, like AI can give you all the data, and sometimes it's like, sometimes I'm using Claude and there's so much text that's being thrown at me and I'm like, what here is relevant? So I think being able to discern and make decisions, employers really value that as well. And we've heard this time and again, we get a lot of partner feedback, and that's something that our partners really value.
No, that's great. And I think that discernment point, really important. I think one of the challenges that we're facing as a society is how do you build that discernment capability within young workers when they haven't had, 22 years of experience like, I have and many people in the room have had, right? Because like I'm able to look at that Claude output and say like, yeah, this makes sense, this doesn't, emphasize, de-emphasize. So, that's one of the conversations we're having a lot. And as I think about kind of the skills for society work that we're doing, we view volunteering and service as important ways that are, learning experiences as well as benefiting the community. So we believe that, through these types of experiential learning, through volunteering, we can create environments where folks at PwC do learn how to navigate complexity, how to listen across differences with empathy, how to exercise judgment in real time and lead without authority in maybe lower stakes areas than doing it on the job. So within these types of experiences, real learning can happen, and this is what we're working through our learning and development initiatives, with volunteering with organizations like yours, and it's gotten really strong feedback so far. People like this, the communities like it, and we're seeing the real impact. But I'd love to hear from each of your organizations. Maybe we can start with Erika this time. Let's talk about what are you doing, what is Microsoft Elevate doing in this case, in terms of what are the interventions you're doing out there in the community to help build these skills or within your own workforce?
Yes, absolutely. Can everyone hear me now? Okay, yes. So of course we look at asynchronous online learning as one of our core pillars, because regardless of where you are in the US or in the world, if you have access to a computer or a tablet or a phone, you have access to learn. So we leverage LinkedIn Learning, Microsoft Learn, and other talent infrastructure to provide that access. But then we realized that we have to take it a step further. So there were two critical approaches that we launched over the last several years that have really shifted the mindset and shifted that perspective of, oh, I'm afraid of AI, to I need to get everyone in my life on board on what AI can do. So the first was to host what we labeled AI Explained events. So in Atlanta, we partnered with United Way of Greater Atlanta, and we hosted sessions around the region. We did not host this at the Microsoft office. We needed to demonstrate that this technology is accessible and inclusive. And so we started with a demonstration. We had a picture of my refrigerator, which is typically eggs, cheese, coffee mate, and bread, and some salad, and asked it to create a meal. And when we did that, people immediately realized, oh, this is something that I can use every single day. And then we invited people from different industry sectors to give their opinion. And I pulled people aside and said, this is not a moment to say you love Microsoft and you love AI. This is an honest conversation around the fears and the opportunities so that we can bring that sense of truth forward. And then secondly, we hosted AI Day in the A. On April 4th, 404 Day, which is the day we celebrate Atlanta's culture, we partnered with 27 nonprofit organizations and universities for them to host an AI event based on their mission, their program, and their beneficiaries. And we wanted to demonstrate that regardless of where you are in the city, if you want to focus on how can you develop your resume, we partner with workforce development practitioners for that. The museums hosted an event where you can reimagine the city of Atlanta and create art. And so what we wanted to do is provide a space where people can experience and test and pilot in a comfortable environment with people who are like-minded so that we can evoke trust. And we left those rooms with people serving as ambassadors. So that immersive experience within community around people that they feel comfortable with moved them from fluency to adoption with ease.
Yeah, and I think that you hit on something really important there, which is we're not talking about human skills only. Mm-hmm. We're talking about human skills and the AI skills. Both are important, the AI skills for just relevance, right? But then the human skills for differentiation. So I love that you cover both. What about at Europe? It's very central to your mission, obviously.
Yeah, so at Europe, what we believe is that human skills are not taught. You train folks to apply them in a job. So it's like we have flipped our classroom into a workplace, and we have our young adults practice human skills in real life work scenarios. So let me just give you an example. Say it's application development, so programming. It's no longer necessary just to know how to code. Instead, you should be able to talk to your client with empathy, figure out what they want, and then use your critical thinking and creativity to design a solution, and then use AI as an assistant in a fluent manner to build the code. But then after you're done, you still have to validate and verify that that has met the user's needs. And so that is how we are approaching our training, is that you blend all these human skills with AI skills in applied learning environments. And our applied learning environments, our young adults are in team-based working scenarios with like their peers. We give them curveballs every week where like something changes in the project and then they have to like figure out what to change. And then self-directed learning, we actually have them look through job descriptions of jobs that they go into, identify skills that they already possess, skills that they need to work on, build out SMART goals to get to those skills, and then track their own progress as they build those skills through finding learning resources, which again they find on their own. And then the third thing that we think about really is that AI should not be a crutch, it should be a productivity tool. And so what I mean by that is we train them in AI fundamentals, we train them in ethics, we train them in how to use AI, but more importantly, we train them in what's a really good use case for AI, because not everything is a valid use case. And then how do you verify and validate that AI did the right thing? And third, and I think this is important, sometimes you just have to rely on your own skills and abilities and not leave something to AI. So when do you make that judgment? That's all part of our applied learning training.
Yeah. Thank you. And we talked about discernment. Now you're also talking about delegation, which is the what do you safely delegate and what don't you? So very important, considerations. Bring us home on the Workday front.
Yeah, I mean, I couldn't agree more with the importance of teaching through experiences that are as close to the career experience itself, right? That makes a ton of sense. So I won't go back down that road other than to say I think that's critical for anyone in this space. It's something we look for in our partnerships. I will say, and just going up a level, like we live in a time where disconnection is accelerating, right? We have so much technology. You could literally go for days ordering food online, you know, calling in your coffee order. Like you don't have to talk to people the way you once did. And I'm a very strong believer that learning happens in so many places and you can't, you know, it's not a class, right? It should be integrated in all of your work-based learning, but it should also just be integrated in the development of our future workforce very early on. And so looking for those opportunities to teach these skills in the natural context of development and continue to talk about their importance, I think is very central. And I'll just close with a bit of research we just released last week from the foundation. We looked at connection in the workplace specifically. We surveyed 2,000 workers from large enterprises worldwide. These are folks who use AI heavily in their jobs every day, and we found some really interesting differences for Gen Z versus other generations, and I'll just share a few stats. So Gen Z reported that Gen Z is 12 times more likely than Gen X to report feeling completely disconnected from colleagues. 1/5 of Gen Z say AI tools have made personal relationships harder, and 20% say they struggle to navigate interpersonal situations at work. And so I think you're starting to see the effects of a generation that grew up with heavy use of social media and remote learning and moving into first roles many times during the pandemic. And so that moment I think is really important when we talk about these skills, not just because they're critical skills for the future of work, but because we're facing some headwinds in the kind of context and the environment.
Yeah. I mean, this is the loneliness epidemic, right?
Exactly.
That we talk about a lot as well. And I agree, right? These skills will benefit you in the workplace, but they do benefit society overall, that connection, that belonging for sure. Okay, we're in the last couple of minutes here, so let's do a little bit of a lightning round. Each of you about 60 seconds. As we close here, for the leaders in the room with us today, would love for you to share kind of one challenge, one call to action. What might people think about doing differently, whether it's at their organization, maybe in their own lives, or in society? So we'll start down here and we'll work back to me.
Okay. I have a few different folks in the audience that I want to address here. One is if you're in higher education, AI is democratizing knowledge. Everybody has access to knowledge now. So really thinking about what does the learner want out of the college experience. And then making sure that if it is getting to a job, like, do I need a 4-year degree? Or can I get these skills in 1 or 2 years? Like really catering to what the young adult actually needs. I think that's really important. Second is the employers. And when I think about the employers, mid and senior level folks will retire one day, and you need entry-level folks who slowly build, painstakingly build the experience and the skills to get to those mid and senior levels. So it's really important that you continue to invest in entry-level roles, even if AI is going to automate some of those functions. So really thinking about that and planning for your entry-level pipeline is important. And then third, when it comes to policy and philanthropy, if we don't, as a country, address this need for AI skills, human skills, and just making sure that our employment pipelines are solid, I think what will end up is a huge skills gap, unemployment, and it's going to affect our economy majorly. So I think thinking about that and really investing, if you're in philanthropy, really investing in those organizations that are providing workforce development solutions to make sure that we continue to invest in these pipelines. I think it's important.
Thank you. Erika?
Secondly, I would say, in this AI transformation moment is really human transformation, and to think about your self-growth, which leads to community growth, which leads to society growth. And with that, we need to have the human skills and the relationship capabilities to move the country forward. That we cannot abandon communities. People are not afraid of AI. People are afraid of being excluded from this AI moment. And moving from the paradigm of focus on productivity and efficiency to what humans need: confidence, capability, community, trust in order to operate in an AI economy.
Yeah, it's that fear of uncertainty. It really does. Yep. Last one.
I would say design your program services no matter what work you work on, no matter what issue area you focus on. Lean into human connection. Look for opportunities to strengthen this and not move away from it.
Awesome. So just in closing, right, I think, thank you all, first of all, for sharing those points of view. What this conversation hopefully has helped make clear is that this type of skill development won't happen by accident. It needs to grow through intentional design, through immersion, through practice, real relationships and experiences that stretch people to learn, teach, and listen. As AI continues to evolve, the opportunity and the responsibility for all of us here in the room will continue to mount as well. And so for you in the room, please do think about, how do you design experiences where people can practice being human together? Thank you.